bring her running stuff.
Oh, she's doing cross country now too.
Not cross country, but running club at school.
Ugh, who the fuck likes running?
I don't know. She has friends in it, so she wanted to join.
Two biggest mistakes of my life: chorus and cross country. Sounds like
you were in chorus.
Sounds like Ellie is on the same path. No, I wasn't in chorus.
Oh, okay.
I was in band. Like, I can't sing. There's zero singing capability in this voice box.
I don't think that's true.
No, it's none. It stinks.
Baby.
I sound like that beast, that mongrel when I try to sing. May as well be me making those noises. And then cross country. Yeah. You know, in middle school, when we would go to gym, sometimes you'd go and it'd just be fun and you'd play stupid games like rag ball or dodgeball or whatever. And other times, and you didn't really know when this was coming. There probably was a schedule, but I never picked up on it. You'd come into PE and they'd say, "We're running the mile today." It's like, God fucking damn it.
And it's like, how many times around that circle? 4?
Well, if you're on a track, it's 4. But at my middle school, we didn't even have a track. So it was just running around an asphalt playground up to a field and around. And they claimed it was a mile. And I was pretty good at it. Mostly, I don't even know why. I think I just hated it and wanted to get it over with. And I could run like 7th grade, 8th grade. I was running like, I think my best was a 6-minute and 50-second mile. And one of the coaches, the middle school coaches, said, "You should join cross country next year." And I don't know why I agreed, because I fucking hate running. I fucking hated it.
Maybe you felt good that you were being recognized, you know? So like, I can go do something I feel good about. But
yeah, she was a coach. She was a coach that I liked, and I also had a crush on her daughter. That's probably it. Pam.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Pam, actually, if you want to tie all this together, Pam was the girl who was going out with some other dude, Jody, I think his name was. And she's the one I would write notes to and put them in her locker. But instead of being forward, like, I was too much of a coward to actually just speak to her. And I was too much of a coward to actually write notes as myself to her. So I created this elaborate fucking thing where I was writing on behalf of someone else, and he was too scared to do so. And so he had me write the notes and deliver the notes. And at some point, my plan was, well, I'm going to pull a 180, and then he's going to say he doesn't like her anymore. But maybe, you know, through this whole process, Greg has started to like you, and maybe you'd be interested in him. And then I found out she was dating this other guy. And I wrote a note as him with my left hand. I'm right-handed. So I thought, I'll mask my handwriting and I'll break up with her as the guy she was going out with.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I thought, that she wouldn't talk to him about it. She would just read the note and say, okay, whatever.
Right. She'd be so heartbroken. It'd be like Carrie and Big.
And then I could come in and say, what's wrong?
Do this to me.
What's wrong? Jody broke up with you. That's so awful. Don't talk to him about it. He doesn't even know how to speak. He's a fucking Cro-Mag.
He doesn't deserve your tears.
He's a Cro-Mag. Don't ever talk to him again. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I thought, though. It all blew up in my face, where the one guy who I was writing for at first, who had no clue I was doing this, found out and confronted me. And then the boyfriend found out and confronted me. I'm surprised I didn't get beaten up. It just didn't escalate to any of that. Maybe I was so pathetic once these people confronted me, they decided, it's not worth it. Let's leave this chump loser alone. And that's how I found myself on the cross country team.
It's a really strange impulse. I mean, I would say imagining something like that would make sense. Like, just like what I've talked about before, where it's like when you're young and it's like the only way you're going to see somebody naked is if like you sneak into like, and there's a hole and you can like look through the hole
like
and like
Porky's.
see something. Yeah. Like something dumb, like I'm only going to ever feel a boob if she's asleep and doesn't know, Like,
Or if I put peanut butter in a plastic bag and put it in the microwave and warm it up a bit, that's what a boob feels like.
sure, I
Not
guess.
crunchy peanut butter.
Well, then they have breast cancer.
Yes, I don't think, whatever.
Oh no, I found a lump.
I don't
Anyway.
find it to be a laughing matter, quite frankly.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were having fun.
I didn't think breast cancer is, there's plenty of people who've had to suffer through that.
Oh my God. It's true.
So anyway, continue.
I didn't think about people. I was just thinking about a bag of peanut butter.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I only know that because I was a friend of mine, her mom, I think was an x-ray tech or something, and brought something home from the hospital, and it was a boob like model thing, and it had a breast cancer lump in it, and you were supposed to like feel it so you would know what it felt like on yourself. And so it reminded me of like what you said, crunchy peanut butter.
I guess similar with testicles, though I've never been brought a prosthetic testicle, so I don't know what the lump would feel like. So let's just hope that it doesn't happen. That's my method instead of checking and being proactive.
Yeah, do you ever feel?
I guess you're always, dudes just grab them to begin with. So maybe.
Yeah, but do you ever like move them around?
Not often. No.
Yeah.
I probably should do it more. And you're supposed to put a leg up on the side of the tub. I don't know why. I guess you just get better access.
You're supposed to do that too, like in the if you take out the little paper inside of a tampon box, it'll show a lady with her, like a little drawing of a lady with her leg up. Like nobody's doing that.
And there's illustrations in condom boxes too.
Yeah, the condom box. Yeah.
It's like, okay, yes. Thank you. I'm glad that you illustrated to me how to put this on. But who knows? People are idiots.
Well, people don't know to leave a little space at the top.
Sure. It's dumb. I guess you're right, but it's not that hard to figure out.
Yeah.
But if
I'm sure there's not if you don't leave a little space at the top, what do your percentages go down by like 0.02?
That would be a good question. I feel like you really have to be going hard for it to actually break. I don't feel like they just randomly break. Like,
no, there's a flaw in it. Like it's defective in some way, or
you're drunk and you can't get off and you've been having sex for an hour and the woman's sick of it and she is dried up a bit and you're like, no, I'm almost there, and you insist on going still. And you start going faster than the thing rips. But this is not based on any experience. This is just common knowledge, common sense.
Sure.
That would make sense. That's the way it would rip. But you were saying
I don't
before,
even think then it would rip. I think if it did rip, I think a lot of like people saying that the condom broke is them like taking it off secretly so that they can get off and then, oh, it broke.
Yeah. Scumbag dudes.
Yeah. Scumbag is a condom, a used condom.
Is it?
Yeah. The word scum is cum. And then the scumbag, is a used condom.
I never put it together. Now I know.
Mm-hmm.
No, I use the word even more with even more oomph.
Right. Vigor. Because now you know the true meaning.
So you probably lost your train of thought from whatever the hell we were talking about before.
Oh, yeah.
But, cross country and chorus, stay away. Not valid paths. Chorus possibly if you can sing, but then you have to be the person who the rest of the chorus hates because you're the one who says, I'll do the solo. I'll have the solo. Give the solo to me. And then
when you're in elementary school, I don't think it's like that.
I guess we all had to do chorus in elementary school. I remember singing for our parents, Moving Right Along, Footloose and Fancy Free. That was
what?
For Moving Right Along. I don't know. That's what it's called. Moving Right Along, Footloose and Fancy Free. That's all I know. Take me to the bathroom and cover me with your pee.
What is this song? Moving Right Along. Oh, by Fozzie?
Oh yeah, was it sung by the Muppets?
Yes. Footloose and Fancy Free. Getting there is half the fun. Come share it with me.
We had to sing this.
We'll learn to share the load. We don't need a map to keep this show on the road. Do you remember it now?
Yep, certainly is. Yep, terrific day for a drive. Yeah, it's beautiful country out here.
Oh, just get to it already.
There, seeing America. Moving right along in search of good times and good news. With good friends you can't lose. This could become a habit. Opportunity.
I think you have a group of fourth graders. Actually, maybe it was probably younger than that. I think part of it was like the dedication to our new elementary school, because I had gone to kindergarten and part of first grade at Big Shanty Elementary. Then they opened Baker, and like, we're moving over.
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ, and hopefully you can't hear the music that's being blasted downstairs by my neighbor.
Oh, it's happening now?
Yeah.
I can't hear it now.
It's not as loud as it was before I started recording, but I think it's Mumford and Sons.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who would listen to Mumford and Sons, which I don't even know what that means. What is
Mumford and Sons isn't bad.
If you were to ask me what that meant,
yeah,
I couldn't actually articulate. It's like, what kind of guy would listen to Mumford and Sons? One who's lame but thinks it's good music. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think it doesn't mean that you're necessarily that guy, but I understand who you mean when you say he's a guy that listens to Mumford and Sons. Like, maybe he would go to like speakeasies and he has like a mustache.
No, he's a divorced dad and he's my landlord's brother.
Oh no.
He's probably
a sad dad.
He's probably 50, if I had to guess. It could be late 40s. I don't want to make him too old. Let's say 48 for the sake of this conversation. Could be 47 for all I know. But I think he's the older brother of my landlord, and my landlord's probably a couple years older than me. A couple years older than me, and owns property in a fancy neighborhood in Brooklyn that he apparently didn't pay that much for in 2000.
Wait, your landlord?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I looked it up once because all this stuff is public record. And I was like, what did he pay for these two buildings? Because there's one building in the front on the street. There's a courtyard and a building in the back where I live.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And considering what it's worth today, wow, what an investment that guy made.
What did he pay?
If I recall, 600 something thousand. 600 something $1,000, where it's now probably worth several million.
Yeah. Wow. In 2000 when?
I don't remember the exact year. It was,
I think you said 2006 or 16.
It wasn't 16. It would have been 6.
Okay.
Could have been earlier because it was 600,000. I'm not sure if I'm getting the 6 added in there. Yeah. But it was somewhere around that time.
Wow.
And yeah. Wow. If only I could have done such a thing, then I'd be rich myself.
Yeah, you are rich.
And he's got a wife, and I think 4 kids now, and they live in
4?
an apartment. Yeah,
For some reason, I thought they only had 2.
Well, they just had a baby.
Oh.
Look the way I said that.
A baby.
They just had a baby. And my fear is, because there's so much value in this building, they're going to look around and say, what the fuck? Why are we living in this small space when we can sell this place for millions of dollars and go get a house all to ourselves? And then they'll sell it to some shithead landlord who will come in and say, I don't like the rent you're paying. I'm doubling it. And that would be that. That'll be the end of it.
But aren't there some laws about that?
No. If it's a rent stabilized building, which this one is not. Rent stabilized is built before a certain year and has more than 4 apartments. It's more than 4 apartments, so this one doesn't match.
Oh, okay. But I didn't know, like, if somebody could come in and just say, we're going to increase it by this percentage. And I thought maybe they would say, you're not allowed to increase it by that much.
No, I live in a fair market apartment. They could kick me out at any time. They could say, after this lease is done, you're not getting renewed. Whereas rent stabilized, they can only raise it a certain percentage every year, which is set by a city board. And you can't you have to offer people lease renewals as long as they're like up to date with their rent. You can't kick people out, which I'm for protections as a renter.
Sure.
I do understand that's kind of strange, though, as a landlord, as a person who owns property, you're being told, it's your property, but those people who live there, you can't get rid of them, and you can't charge them more than this set amount. Now, with the rent stabilized, what happens because of that, shitty landlords try to force people out. Sometimes they'll offer to buy them out. They'll say, hey, we'll give you $20,000. Or in the case of my friend Philip, who had this great apartment in Williamsburg, it was only 2 apartments and a Chinese food restaurant at the bottom. And I remember when he moved in, it was 2 bedrooms, really great price. His lease was up, and the landlord was really apologetic, said, oh, I have to raise your rent. I'm so sorry. And they raised it like $25. And I laughed at that. And I said, you should try to get like a 5-year lease so you can really lock this in. And the next time I talked to him, he said, I asked him, I said, did you get a 5-year lease? He said, no, I got a 6. So he got a 6-year lease. And next door to this building, there was an empty lot. So you knew a developer at some point was going to want to come in. So while this wasn't a rent stabilized building because it only had 2 apartments, since he had a 6-year lease, the developer had to buy him out or wait. I think at that point, it was still like 4 years left on the lease. And I think they gave him like $125,000 to leave.
Wow.
And let him live there rent free until they were ready to kick him out. So I think he got like 6 months free rent or something.
Wow.
I know. And with rent stabilized buildings, similarly, especially if a person wants to sell the building, new owners come in. You want to get people out because when people are out, then you can rent the apartment for whatever the market dictates the apartment will go for. Yeah. And then once a new person comes in, then it's locked in again at like whatever incremental increases every year. But you can at least make that jump once it's vacated. So they'll offer to buy people out, or if they're really shitty, and this happens more often than it should, which is never, landlords come in and say, oh, we're going to do some repairs, and they smash up someone's kitchen, and then they don't fix it. They just leave it.
Well, they can't do that.
They will do that. And because they're trying to force them out. They're trying to make it so miserable.
There are some rules about what the owner of an apartment, or a landlord, has to provide specific things.
There are. But there are landlords who challenge it, and some maybe aren't as egregious as, like you're saying, there's amenities you need to provide. Though kitchen isn't actually one of them. There's heat.
What?
No, there's plenty of apartments without kitchens.
Oh, just a hot plate. But if you've signed a lease that includes a kitchen.
If it's in the lease, sure. I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's in the lease, but it's like you've signed a document expecting certain things, and they can't just come in and take those things away slowly while you keep paying the same amount. If
a kitchen's not guaranteed in the lease, I don't think it matters. I don't think you can say, well, I signed this lease and I should have a kitchen. It's like, does the lease say you should have a kitchen? So if it's not there, which as an aside, did you know in Germany, when you rent apartments, apparently they don't come with kitchens?
What do you mean?
Meaning there's space for a kitchen, but having all the appliances and the cabinets and the counters is something that you invest in as a renter. And when you move, you tend to take it with you.
Whoa. Interesting.
A very strange quirk of renting in Germany. Now you can offer to leave it and like cut some deal with the next tenant. But apparently, because this is the way it goes, people like to customize their kitchens, and some people don't want it. Like, no, you take your fucking kitchen.
Yeah, I want my stove on this side.
I've got my own kitchen to bring in. It just seems like such a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, another thing to move. A fridge and a stove.
Man, just cabinets and then having to hang the cabinets.
Horrible.
No, thank you. No, thank you. But
no,
to wrap
danke.
Up, yes, very good. You should go to Germany and you can speak to them in their native tongue. Even though what you said wasn't no, thank you.
What is it?
You used no.
Yeah.
You did say thank you, but you used the English word no. And I don't, because no is 9.
Oh, right. Duh. So how would you say no thank you in German?
I don't know. Use the Google Translate.
Let me just no, thank you in German. Oh, nein danke.
There you go.
Nein danke.
Simple enough. So to
Or
wrap up that thread,
Leider nein means unfortunately no.
there have been a few landlords that have gone to jail for this kind of behavior.
Sure.
But I think a lot more get away with it.
I was watching a Judge Judy where a lady, she was a landlord, and it was a really interesting, it's interesting to watch because she was the landlord was the plaintiff, and she was suing her tenants because they were living in a rent to own place. They had lived there for 4 years, and they were supposed to buy the property for like $135,000. And then 4 years into it, the landlord comes and like does a little assessment of the house, and then probably had it appraised or like realized that she could get more for it if she sold to somebody else, because she had like locked herself into this price. She wanted to sell it. She's like, okay, because of all the little changes that you have made to the property, now the price has gone up to $175,000.
Because
like,
the person invested in the property, because they put their own money into the property.
Well, they did, but the landlord was saying that they did it improperly and like it wasn't done well or like legally or something.
Well, who gives a shit if you're selling it and it's their problem at that point?
She was just trying to get out of it so that she could sell for more money. So then they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And she was like, oh, okay, well then I'm going to raise your rent. And they were like, no, we locked into this thing for $135,000. Like, we're buying it. And she was like, that's too bad. And so they moved and they got a house, and they were able to like put the down payment right away, because that was another thing that the landlord was saying was like, they didn't have any money, like they couldn't get the funding or whatever. And but just watching the landlord and how pissed she was, like, you could just tell in her body language and in like the faces she would make. Like, she had real tight lips, and she was like, well, they didn't do anything, like she just had this way of behaving that like she was like a powder keg to me, and I was like, man, she's gonna fucking lose. And she did. because you can't do that. Like, even Judge Judy was like, are you insane? Are you nuts?
What was the settlement here, though? Because Judge Judy is usually small claims. This is like a whole house.
Oh, I forget I don't remember what the landlord was asking for, because she sold it like 3 days after her tenants moved out to like an investment somebody for like $5,000 more. But I don't remember what they were asking for, but it was just really interesting, and how like this person was in front of a judge trying to claim that she was in the right as a landlord for like wanting to up the price on these people who had signed into buying it for a certain amount. And she was like, sorry, I know I can get more now, so you're going to have to pay more. And they're like, no, we don't have to pay more. And she was like, yeah, you do. And I'm totally right about that.
Well, she got that life-changing money, $5,000. And after you factor in the fees, it probably was an additional $4,000, because some fees came out of that $5,000. People are so fucking greedy.
That's what I mean. It's just so strange. Like, you're pursuing this? Like, relax. Like, they're gone. Yeah.
I feel like something like $5,000. If I'm selling a property.
Oh, maybe I'm sorry. Maybe it was because maybe she was suing them because she wasn't able to get what she was thinking that she would be able to get because of the changes that they made or something.
Well, still.
But still, I'm just saying. Yeah.
If it was, if what you're saying is they had an agreement in place and a contract that was signed to buy this place, and she went back on that, then fuck her. And it sounds like the Stephen Shelley incident, Stephen Nash of The Game that I talked about on the show before, the guy I sublet from years ago when I first moved to New York, who was part of Mystery's Womanizer Club, who had his own dating service. I'll teach you to lay women. I was like, oh, those are his words, not mine.
Lay?
Yeah, I'll teach you to lay women. Look at me. I'm a bad-looking dude with nasty, gangly yellow teeth and greaseball hair, and I lay women all the time. So pay
I hate
me money.
the use of that lay.
Like,
I understand getting laid, but like to then turn it into like, I guess, is that a verb? To lay a woman.
he was he
Ew.
was and again, I've told this story, so I'll keep it short, but he moved to New York. Philip, the guy who got paid $125,000 eventually to move out, moved with me. We sublet an apartment for a few months just to get on our feet. And he was charging us more than he was paying. I knew that. I also didn't know it was illegal at the time, but I didn't care. It's like, whatever, we're paying this for a couple months so we can get on our feet and we'll get the hell out of here. Guy had this apartment, which was rent stabilized, as we were talking about, where he's only paying $1,600 a month and it can only go up a certain percentage every year. He's making money off of it. He's moved out years ago and he keeps it, which is illegal, so he can use it as a source of income, which when you're the dating coach who was under mystery, the man with the dumb hats who looked like Jamiroquai on VH1, you're probably not making too much money. So similarly, when we moved out, the next tenant backed out and then he was going to lose that income. Right. And he tried to sue us to get our deposit back, claiming that we left the apartment in disarray, even though we were given the deposit back. So fuck him. And through the law, I found out what he was paying. And then I found that I could sue him for 3 times the amount he ever charged us. And I rubbed it in his face, though I didn't go through with it, which I should have.
What do you mean you didn't go through with it?
I could have pursued it. I just
suing him.
Yeah, I just used it to get him off my back. I was like, leave me alone and get your lame ass lawyer out of here. Stop sicking him on me with his strongly worded emails and certified mail.
I feel like those things are fake.
What? The certified
I feel like I could
mail?
send. Yeah, I could do that. I could send a certified letter with some letterhead of a law firm to anybody and say, stop that.
Yes. At some level, though, I don't know. It's probably not illegal to impersonate a lawyer like it is in a law enforcement officer. But I don't know. I don't know what the laws are surrounding that.
I should ask a lawyer.
Yes. We'll reach out to Stephen Shelley, scumbag extraordinaire. When I was a landlord, which I didn't want to be a landlord, but I bought that house in Atlanta in Cabbagetown in 2005 for $192,500. Interest only, 80-20 mortgage, making $38,000 a year and having zero in savings, so no money down. What a fucking stupid. Just looking back at that time of my life, the fact that I took the job at 99X for $38,000, they're offering me the night shift, and I just said, okay. I didn't even ask for more. What the fuck?
You don't know any better.
I was scared they'd take it away.
Absolutely. Like, oh. You're in a position, you're young. It's the first time you're getting, a big old chunk of money for something that you think you would do for free.
And then you buy a house with it that you really shouldn't have. And then you think, I'm going to live in this house for a few years in this neighborhood that's getting popular, but I'm going to move to New York. Then I'm going to sell it and make some money. That in itself wasn't a bad idea, and it was a good plan. Except for the fact I didn't know that 2008 was coming with all those subprime mortgages like the one I had, crashing the market. Housing market goes to shit. And then you have a mortgage that has a balloon payment after 10 years. And that 10-year mark's coming. You've been renting it out to your sister and your friends for what you pay on it, not making money off of it because you're a decent person. And that 10 years tick, 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 tick. It's like, fuck, I can't refinance this because I'm freelancing and I'm not making that much money because I've been a lazy fucking bum who's been buying pills from a dude I work with. It's like, I got to sell it. I got to get rid of it. And the housing market hadn't fully recovered at that point. So a friend got it for, I think, speaking of $5,000 more than I paid. And then who knows what it's fucking worth now? 400,000, 500,000.
Well, we looked it up, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't want to know.
Okay.
I don't want to know. Being a landlord sucked, though. I don't want to be a landlord. Anyone who wants to be a landlord as a fucking business venture is out of their mind.
Oh, I kind of want it.
I would you think it's fun?
Well, I don't know.
Like, what's appealing about it?
The sort of somewhat passive income, I guess.
Yeah, but if you find the right tenants who pay on time and don't destroy things, then I think it can be okay. But especially if you're an owner that has multiple properties, especially in New York, you have buildings and you have multiple tenants per building, it's got to be a fucking nightmare because people are shitheads, and there are people who complain about everything, and things are always broken, especially in these old buildings, like the house in Cabbagetown. Jesus Christ, I knew what I was getting into when I bought it, but the plan was, again, to live there, fix things up as I lived there, sell it. Not, oh, now I own this thing and it needs constant fucking repair. The porch detaches and it's a historic district, so you have to pay to have that done, correctly.
Special, yeah.
The siding's old as fuck and it has to be wood siding because it's a historic district, so it's going to have to be replaced again in another 10 years or something. It's not, no, it's
but now, do you think it's something you can handle? Because maybe not at, 22, you couldn't handle it.
No, I don't think whatever income you're generating off of one house is maybe worth it. I guess if you own it outright, then it's all outside of taxes and repairs.
It's all profit.
It's all profit, but it's a fucking lot of work. And, my landlord now, he lives in the front building. He's got these other spaces. And it's like, all right, sure, you rent these out because what are you going to do with them otherwise?
Sure. And you're on the property.
Yeah. And I don't ask him for much, and I fix things myself for the most part. But when I've needed things, he's attentive and he fixes them. And, he's very picky on who moves in, because when I talked to the real estate broker, it was like an interview before I could even see the place. It's like, well, I'm obviously screening you. I'm not letting anyone in.
What kind of interview was it? Like, what did they ask you that would be different than other places?
What's the thing? Most places, hey, I see this apartment's for rent. Can you show it to me? Sure. Let's do it on this date and time. That's it.
Oh, okay.
This was, hey, let's jump on the phone. Let's talk for 15 minutes. It was more of a conversation, but I could tell with the things we were talking about that he was doing a bit of screening. And I wish I could remember the details. Like, it wasn't anything illegal. Like, are you white? Because I don't also I don't think that would have mattered. Like, that's not what he was getting at.
I would hope
more
not.
like, it was more like rental history and job and what, even like the kind of tenant you've been, what kind of person you are. It's like, do you person like to have fucking parties? Like, if I were 21,
oh yeah,
it probably would have been no go. It's like, nah, I don't want a 20-year-old dude living there.
Well, especially, you've got a family next door, which is yourself. Like, you're, as the landlord, your family is next door.
Yeah, now he's got, his brother and one.
I was going to say, did he go through the same vetting process? Because he's listening to Mumford and Sons and banging chicks.
Oh yeah, I didn't bring that up on the show yet. I just mentioned that before. Yeah, he bangs this one chick. And
just one?
She's so fucking loud. It sounds fake. It's not real. The way that she screams throughout is not real. No,
she's screaming?
It's like just yelling. If you didn't know, that maybe you think someone's being attacked. But it's like, oh no, I guess those are moans of joy. Unless he's just got like a fucking V8 piston of a dick and it hurts her. Or something like that.
It hurts.
And then maybe that's where it's coming from. Otherwise, it's not ecstasy. It's not, because it's not, it doesn't seem real. I don't know. Maybe there is someone out there who's like, I just did the whole time nonstop for the 7.5 minutes it goes on. It's like, okay, enough is enough. I hate having to hear this. Good for you.
I wonder.
Good for you.
Do they listen to Mumford and Sons while they fuck?
No, I haven't. Those two haven't come together yet.
Okay.
Those two haven't come together.
I mean, Mumford and Sons is a sexy sounding group. Like, their songs are,
a banjo.
Sexy.
Yeah, I guess.
They have a really good video. Have you seen their Hopeless Wanderer video?
No.
It's really funny. It has like, oh shit. It has nope, not Andy Samberg. No. I can't remember who's in it. It has all these like comedians that are playing them, like playing the band, and they're singing, and then I'll send you the video. It's a really good video.
It doesn't sound like, it's no OK Go. Let's say that.
No, it's not that. It's a different thing, but it makes me feel like, Mumford and Sons has a really good sense of humor. Because it's a fun video.
Did OK Go stop making videos because they just realized I can't keep. You can't
It takes
top the
them like
last one.
4 years to plan everything.
Yeah, the treadmill video, and then the Rube Goldberg machine, and then the in the plane that dive bomb, so you can be floating like you're in
There's
space.
a billion more. There's like the drone one. They're really good videos. I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah, there's clearly a lot of planning.
The one where they do it all backwards, I think, or like the one where like they do the whole video in like 3 seconds or something, and then they slow it down, and it's wild.
Then there's the one that was like plays with perspectives.
Oh, I love that one.
There's a lot.
Okay,
that goes
Go
in.
is so cool. I don't listen to any of their music. Their videos,
But you watch
are really
the videos.
Cool. Yeah.
Like there's so much outside of the things that they have to do on camera, just the stuff the camera has to do. And be in the right place at the right time, and whoever.
And it's all one take.
Yeah.
So they can't even. There can be no errors.
I would just give up. I was like, I'm done. Look, that was cool. I'm glad we did this stuff, but Jesus Christ, I don't have the energy for it anymore. I don't want to. I don't.
Oh, as a band member.
Yeah, like the one.
Do we have to make another fucking crazy video?
The one where they're floating. Apparently, they did that so many times. Like people are getting sick. And they're just going. And how much does it cost to take that plane up and to keep shooting? And you only get
a package deal.
You only have a few seconds at a time to shoot because the plane has to be.
Well, I mean that's what they did with
diving.
Yeah, that's what they did with Apollo 13, didn't they? They shot the scenes in that film in that plane.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So if Tom Hanks can do it, the guys from OK Go can do it.
I think I wondered at some point how they shot those scenes, and then I just never looked it up.
Oh yeah, that's how.
It's like, how did they float? Who cares? It's a shame that they don't get to go to the moon.
Oh, they were so bummed. And then they were like sick and stuff. It was not fun.
Close.
It was a fun trip.
So close yet.
I'd be like,
so
not
far.
only did I not get to go to the moon, which has been my dream, I also like had a miserable experience and thought I was going to die. That sucked.
Yeah, I would have maybe crash landed in the moon. I said, I'm going no matter what.
I'm going.
You all.
I'm taking you bitches with me.
We're going to die on the moon. I'm going to set foot on the moon.
That's right.
It's the last thing I do, which it
he
will
died
be.
doing what he loved.
And then my other neighbor, just to wrap this up here, is a very famous comedian. I can't even say their name. They're so famous. And they have a very regarded stage show currently where they play Mary Todd Lincoln on stage.
That looks fun. I would go see that.
And then they get packages from Amy Sedaris.
Which is so cool. I'm impressed.
And then I look up Amy Sedaris' address on Google Street View to see what kind of building it is. And then I look at the listings on Street Easy to see how much she paid. And look, it's expensive, but it's not a very big apartment.
Good for her. That's the way to do it.
Goes to show you can be a famous person like Amy Sedaris and still get very little with your money here in New York.
Well, that's true. But also maybe it's that, you don't need a lot. And that's fine. I would be fine with this. I'm fine with my space now if it wasn't for the kids needing another room.
Yeah, what are you going to do there?
I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, and it's hard because so I could try and move to a 3-bedroom here somewhere, but then you got to move, and that sucks.
How much more are they?
Yeah, it's probably way more expensive, and I could probably get into a townhouse for a similar price and rent the whole townhouse, and have more space. But
then you gotta buy more furniture.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know. That's down the line. You can live without some furniture for a while. I have furniture, so I could have what I have now. But anyway, So yeah, I don't know. And then I was thinking, well, as time goes on, maybe they just once they really need their own space, maybe they would spend nights wherever they wanted, whether it was my house or Trav's house. And they could have separate bedrooms because they have separate bedrooms over at his house.
Which is close within walking distance.
Oh yeah, it's right around the corner. It takes.
Are they able to walk themselves yet?
They are, but Ellie gets scared.
About what?
I don't know. She has anxiety. Poor thing.
But what does she express what the fear is? Is someone going to kidnap her, attack her, an animal going to get her?
I probably all those things. It's like the when you're young and you start to freak yourself out about it being dark, and like just something is going to happen, you know. So she's just afraid to go by herself.
I mean,
she'll
I guess...
do it during the day and she'll be okay. And she's gone off on her bike before by herself or like to meet up with friends or something. So I don't know. It's just sometimes she's got anxiety. You can't like reason with that.
I mean, I do think back to being a kid and hanging out at one of my friends' houses, and the rules like, all right, when it gets dark, street lights come on, time to go home. And the distance, the ride back from his house to my house seemed so far as a kid. And when I got older,
yeah,
it's honestly like 6 houses away. It was not like, sure, there was an intersection in between, but it wasn't that far away. I was like, man, that used to seem so far.
For sure. I remember from my house to the front of my neighborhood felt really far.
It's nothing.
It's like 2 streets. 1, 2.
So I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And this fear, because we're told that strangers are bad and they're going to kidnap you.
They're not afraid of that. Our neighborhood, it's all good. It's not that.
Yeah. How many of the people do you know?
I know pretty much all of my neighbors, even in the other buildings.
Do you talk to them?
All the what's that?
You hang out? Do you talk? Do you hang out? Do you have meals? Do you get drinks? Do you have potluck dinners?
Say hi and like talk, for a second. And like I have me and my neighbor right beside each other. My neighbor, Miss Jackie, who I share a wall with here in the closet. Her kitchen is right next to me. Like I can always tell when she's microwaving something or like cooking something. I can smell it. She runs her disposal. She and I have each other's keys. And if one of us isn't home, we'll say like, hey, can you run in the house? And like, or like she's come in when I'm not home before and like taken maple syrup, like taken my ketchup because she needs it for something. I'm like, okay.
Wow. What a nice dynamic.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then, even, and all the people in the townhomes over there, like we all know each other. So it's a little community. So it's nobody's afraid of that. And I haven't really done a lot of talking to them about stranger danger. It's hard because like I don't want to freak them out, but I also want to tell them like, yo, I have those big windows in my living room that face right out into the parking lot, and Ellie will come out like naked because she's going to change or something, or she's gotten out of the shower and she's being silly and running around or something. And I'm like, you can't come out here. You can't. Like, you can see right in here. Like it's like, I need to teach her shame. I don't want to teach her shame. I'm not teaching her shame, but I'm like, there are people that are bad people that want to see you in here naked. So don't put that out there.
Shame should be taught more often. I think there's not enough shame in the world these days. If there were, people would act very differently, but so many people seemingly have no shame. Now, I agree with you. It's like, don't shame a person like for their body and being naked, but so maybe it's not shame, but there's a reality. It's like, they're creeps who are really going to like the fact that you're 9 and naked. So, and there may not be many of them, but there are some. And
right. You don't want to find them. You don't want. Yeah.
Well, considering we live in an apartment building where we don't know all the people because there's so many, and that's impossible.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, you never know.
You never know. Yeah, I don't know what the guy who lives in the next building with his plants and his woodworking outside, I don't know what he does on his own.
Look, it clearly happens enough since you can go on any sex registry and find child offenders.
Oh, but you know what is really nice? We live within walking distance of 2 schools. So I don't think anybody who has a sex offender record could live here.
I feel like there's ways around it, though.
Yeah?
Because there's schools and parks everywhere. Maybe someone else rents the place and their name. I know you're right. You're right that if they're applying, I guess with the background check, you're going to find that out and say, you can't live here. I'm sorry. But
yeah. And you have to like, I guess, don't you have to like register where you live? I guess you can get away with that. Maybe if you just don't tell them, you know?
It's probably on your record, though. I think
Yeah.
a background check is going to bring it up.
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Who knows how long it stays on there? But how would you like to be the one apartment complex that is the correct distance away from parks and schools?
Shit.
I swear. All the
So I think
sex
you can
offenders.
live within you can live close to a park. It's just not a school. Because I'm looking at my thing, my little circle here, and everyone's on the very edges away from all these schools.
It's probably a local thing then for New York.
Mm.
Like you can't even go on a playground if you're an adult and you don't have a kid.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I mean, look, as a woman, you could go and sit there and probably nobody would say anything.
Well, yeah.
And even I could if I kept showing up, I'd be like, why does this guy keep showing up and he has no kid? And even if I were up to nothing, it's just a bench I like to sit on. You know, I think it would be a little more noticeable than if you showed up every single day. But it is a shame that because of pervs, they have to put laws like that into effect. But at the same time, what the fuck do I care? I don't want to hang out at a playground, so I'm not
Right.
I'm not losing out on anything.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit that the law is there. It's like, sure, because I do not want to be around that madness, that scream, that just constant sound of a group of kids on a playground.
Yeah. It can be a little like
The steady noise. Like once you mix it all together and whatever that stasis that you achieve is.
as a kid.
Of like the noise they make when they're all screaming and yelling and talking together, and there's so many of them, there's no break in it. Just what that noise, like, oh.
It is kind of cute though. Like sometimes I'm a real creep. Speaking of creeps, and I drive up. Like if I'm driving somewhere or driving home from somewhere, and I'm passing by the school, I'll pull in because the kids are at the playground, like during recess. Sometimes I watch them. Like it's so cute, but I'm looking for my kids. Like, is it Ellie's class or is it Pete's class? And if it's nobody I know, then I leave. But if it's Ellie or Pete, sometimes I watch them.
That's fine. I get that.
Yeah, it's so cute. Especially like them not knowing I'm there, and it's
Well, that's getting a bit creepy.
Well, no, it's cute. It's like I like observing them in their little natural environment. Like, look at Ellie; she's like running from place to place.
It's better when they don't know that I'm there, hiding in a bush up in this tree.
Yeah, I go with like a trench coat and glasses and a hat. Hello.
I feel like I should know. Now, granted, like my landlord's kids, outside of the baby that was just born, they're either close to being teenagers or teenagers. So it's not like I'm going to be overly friendly with them. But I do think it's strange. Like we've been living here. In July, it'll be 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know them that well. Not that I should be close to them, but it feels like there should be. Because I think about being a kid, and in the neighborhood, you knew the neighbors, and like
Right.
you'd ride your bike, and the old man who was nice would wave, and the old man who hated you because he was the nasty old man would like scoff. But
Yeah.
you always knew who people were. It's like I don't even know their names. I don't think they know my name. I'll say if I pass, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Well, I mean, they're kids. What about
Again,
like what about your neighbor, like your landlord himself? Like, do you guys ever see each other, hang out, or anything?
No, we don't really hung out. Like we've had.
Do you borrow stuff from each other? Like, do you have any sugar?
No.
Oh.
And also, you don't necessarily borrow things because if I needed sugar, the walk to my neighbor's apartment, my landlord's apartment, is about the same as the walk to the bodega. So
Oh, okay.
you just go get what you need. It's like, oh, we need that. Okay, I'll go get it. It's probably shorter too than knocking on the door and then having to ask and them getting it for you. I've had extended conversations with him, like out in the courtyard. And when we renewed our lease last year, I was trying to regrow the grass, and he said
that's
something.
right.
And he said something about like having a beer out there, but it's never come to fruition.
Oh,
Now his brother lives downstairs, who's going to want our apartment because our apartment's so much better than his. I know this for a fact because I've been in that apartment when the people who previously lived there moved out, and he's going to be pushing his brother probably is like, come on, give me that apartment. I want that apartment. I want it.
Yeah, but then he can't make the money off of it. He's not going to
Well,
charge his brother the same that he would charge you, I wouldn't think.
no, but then he'd rent out the bottom, which is 2 bedrooms, and ours is only 1, even though I think ours is bigger. It's just a different type of layout. But he does have kids, and they come over. Like, he splits the time.
Mm-hmm.
They split the time. But so I guess he needs that second bedroom. But we have that loft area, and I could see him being the kind of guy who's like, I'll live in the loft, and the kids can have the
bang
bedroom.
my broad up there.
But our landlord would be giving up, and this is absolutely insane, but he'd be giving up over $40,000 a year by getting rid of us.
Wow.
Over a year, we pay over $40,000. Fucking, it's like someone's salary.
I know. I was thinking, thinking about what I need or what I'm looking for in the future type of thing. I think about, what if I just lived with my parents for just a year? You know, and I just save that money. It doesn't feel worth it because it'd only be like $20,000 or something. Yeah, I'd have to do it for like 2 years. And I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a meaningful amount of money.
It is, but I feel like it's not worth sharing my space with my parents for 2 years or 1 year. 2 years, I think it'd be worth. Well, no, it's just not. I think if I were you with your 40,000, then it would be worth it.
Well, I mean,
1 year, 40K. I got a down payment. Okay, I'm in.
When you do the split, I mean,
Right,
together we would be saving 40,000. We split it based on percentages.
Oh, you do?
Meaning salary percentages. So I make more as the man.
Oh.
The way it should be, because if she made more, I wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Oh, no, it's so emasculating.
Yeah, I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't care.
I know.
You know, it's mainly because I'm older. That's why I'm making more. I'm not saying that the discrepancy doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if she and I were on equal playing field, she would probably be making more because I had less drive. I'm like, oh, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Okay. Yeah.
Money has never really been a motivator for me.
Yeah.
And I look back at my career and I wouldn't really change anything. Despite the fact there were times I was down to $1,800 with no actual job living in New York. I'm like, the end is really close, and I'm just in denial about it, I guess. It was pretty fucking crazy thinking back to that. It was like I was down to $1,800 and freelancing, and then I was offered that full-time job as the video producer. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. Really saved my ass.
Yeah.
And it all just came together.
When you said 1,800, I really pictured 18,000, and then it took me a second to realize, no, you meant 1,800.
Yeah, I moved to New York with $13,000.
That's still very low.
I know. I didn't have a job, but got the radio job pretty quickly, and that $13,000 didn't dwindle too much because I was able to make at least enough. Mm-hmm. I wasn't able to save, but I wasn't really dipping into savings. And then once I lost that radio job, those were the years of just whatever. I'm freelancing, but not really trying, and spending way too much money. And again, it wasn't immediate, but it was like a slow bleed over 3 years where like that number, that 13,000 just kept going down. I actually think I got it up to around 20,000. The one good thing was tax return time when I owned that house in Atlanta, because I would get money back. I was able to do write-offs and things. But anyway, that slowly drained until it got to 1,800. Like, what the fuck? And then you've got like 20-year-olds like, I put 58% of my paycheck into my 401k. I max it all out, and I've got a Roth going. And I'm going to retire when I'm 38. And I only make them sound like that because I'm jealous on some level.
Yeah. How do they do that, though? How do they live?
That's the thing. You're sacrificing a bunch.
Yeah.
You're not really, it depends on what you want. Who gives a shit if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to go out and do things and be a fucking idiot for years. And if you want to carry those stupid years into your 30s, some people want to be responsible from the start, and that's totally fine. I just, the fact that I didn't have any meaningful contribution to a 401k until I was 30 7 is
Same.
saying something. I have a couple scattered about from previous jobs. Like this one has 2,200. This one has 3,100. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you know.
I think I have one that's like something like that, like 1,800, something like that. And then my normal one. But even my normal one is so small.
Yeah.
But what am I going to do? I don't know.
It's all based on this idea that the market's going to show nonstop growth too. And it's like, it could 2008, 2008, it was a real thing for people who are about to retire. It's like, oh yeah, your 401k depleted now. Most people are like, it's okay. It's going to go back. It's like, sure. If you're young enough, fine. And
who suffered? The people suffered. Nobody fucking else suffered. Everyone got bailed out.
I got bailed out. No one really went to jail.
Fuck them. I really do want to take out I want to take out my 401k and just put it in a high yield savings account.
I mean, the 401k can get you more money. You're supposed to.
I don't trust the gov.
Well, the problem with banks. The problem with banks, and I know I guess none of it's guaranteed. Like up to $200,000 is insured. I don't know the way it works with investment funds, but the problem with the bank, and again, you're not anywhere near this, nor am I. I'm not. It's not
right.
an insult,
yeah.
But if you do save up enough money and get over $200,000, then it's not really the safest place to keep it because if there's some kind of collapse, and that's part of the reason the banks got bailed out. But we had to keep trust in our institutions and our finance and our banks, and yeah, it could have fucked people even more if these things failed. But there still should have been, like, my thought, all the people who got the bad mortgages, and sure, some people stopped paying them, and there were hardships, and maybe people weren't paying because they couldn't, not just because they were being assholes. Same with COVID. I feel like COVID, there were some people taking advantage of the fact that it's like, you can't be evicted. It's like, I'm just not going to pay my rent then. But,
right. Yeah.
Plenty of people couldn't actually. They lost their jobs and they couldn't afford it.
It's like all the people that are refusing to pay their student loans.
Yeah.
Out of some sort of protest. It's like, well.
You should also be pissed at the fucking schools over that.
Oh, for sure.
The forgiveness of the loans. I agree that you shouldn't be in that much debt for going to school. But also, once you turn on the fucking school, the school that charged you that much money to go get your dumb degree and learn from their scumbag. There you go. I got to use it. Yes. Professors. Fucking idiots. Like, the government should just say, I owe nothing. Well, the schools will still get their money somehow. If the schools, I think that's what angers me the most. If the government forgave the loans and turned to the schools and said, well, it doesn't matter because the schools already got their money. You're repaying the lenders. The lenders could claw back that money from the schools if the government said, we forgive all loans and the schools will be paying them. Then I'd be all for it. My point previously with the bank bailout, though, and the mortgages was people should have been given the money for their shitty mortgages. They had to use that money to pay off their mortgage, but then people were bailed out along with the fucking banks. So people got their houses.
Yes.
And then the banks got their money. But what had happened was the banks double dipped because they got bailed out and then kept charging people for their fucking mortgages.
Yeah, fuck them.
The crappy mortgages they put together.
Well, you should have known when you were signing it. You should have known that you couldn't afford.
There's some truth to that. Like,
you're
responsible. You're responsible for yourself.
The sale, not the sale, but the like indoctrination or like the brainwashing or whatever that we've had our whole lives about like owning your own home, and you can't ever accumulate wealth unless you own your own home, and you're supposed to, like, a certain age you should have owned your own home. Shut up, get out of here. If you can't afford it, then you can't afford it.
I'm totally with you on that. Like, people are fed this thing their whole lives. So this is what you strive for. This is what you need to get.
That's right.
And when it is available, when it's put in front of you, it's like, oh, it's not as hard to get as I thought. And I can have that thing that's going to show that I'm doing my life correctly.
Right.
It's like, it is predatory. But again, I didn't fully understand what I was getting into, but that's on me, and I should have researched more. My parents did tell me, like, that's weird. 0 down, 2 mortgages, an 80 and a 20. I was like, whatever, shut up. I'm going to buy this house.
Right.
And again, I wasn't wrong in my assessment that buying that house in that neighborhood at that time was a good investment.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit misguided since I didn't want to stay there. I knew I wanted to move to New York.
Yeah, because maybe staying there would have made it easier to be a landlord.
Well, even if I'd stayed there, I would have lived in it. And then...
Oh, I meant just stayed in Georgia.
Yeah. It certainly would have been easier because then you could have fixed things yourself. Like the things I could have, small things. Like, I'll just do that myself. It'll save me some money.
Yeah.
I can get there easily.
And you're more connected with the property because you are there. I mean, not physically living there. I mean, just like you're in town. You can go to it and see it and connect with it.
And also, look, my plan was, I guess, 2 years. I was like, in 2 years, this house will gain value, which it probably did if everything didn't crash.
God, I fucking hate the world. But only in like the biggest way, you know, like these big way. I keep saying the macro is terrible. The micro is beautiful. Things, I think, individually, you know, interpersonal relationships, the little ups and downs that we're all going through, like those things are really nice and feel human. And the big picture stuff all just feels like such garbage bullshit.
And then the micro is really gross. Then you get down to see all those mites that live on you and those worms.
And you have like the little wars they're having for territory over your skin, under your nails.
Yeah. And your eyebrows, on your eyelashes.
Yeah. And then you have that bacteria under your nails and then you like rub your eye and now that bacteria is in your mucous membranes.
I prefer not to think about that world. It's just as bad as the macro world. All right. Well, I guess we're at time. I got to get ready for a meeting with this guy has been spamming everyone on the audio team.
Oh,
hey, I do audio mixing. I would love to work with you. Hey. And he just reaches out to every single person's email address he can find. And I said, I'll meet with them. I'll talk to him. So
good for you.
Talk to this guy.
Give him a chance. He sounds like he's got spunk.
Nah, I mean, there's no room to give him a chance at this point, but I'll at least talk to him so he doesn't feel ignored. I've already told him that in email. It's like, hey, we don't really have a need right now for additional help, but I'll get to know you because if we ever need to bring someone on freelance, then, you know, it's good to have a roster of people.
The guy that you told me to get in touch with hasn't reached out to me yet. But I felt like a real creep emailing him, like, hi, a friend, and then hi.
I mean, I get it. That's weird. And I have no clue what that was about. I have no clue. It was like Tim Andrews reached out. He just wanted voice people. And if he hasn't responded, like you are just like, okay, no big deal. He hasn't written back. I felt kind of weird, you know, writing an unsolicited email, but it wasn't completely unsolicited. Tim, on the other hand, is taking it personally. I guess he hated my demos. He thinks I suck.
Oh, well, of course he does.
I was like, we don't even know what this is. It was like a game of telephone where a person I know reached out to me and asked me if I knew anyone who could do VO work. And, he told me that he didn't really even know the person that well, but he knew that he had like an AI startup and had some real funding. So I was like, maybe there could be some money. Who knows what the fuck it is? Nobody knows what he needs voices for, but it doesn't hurt anything.
No, not at all.
Apparently hurts.
It's so
Tim's
funny. Well,
feelings though.
He's ridiculous.
Because he wrote me the same day, like a few hours later, like 3 hours after he sent the email. He's like, well, I guess that guy thinks I suck.
I didn't send any demo or anything. I was just like, hey, I would like to know more about this project.
Yeah, that's fine then. Who cares? Again, if you never hear from him, it doesn't change anything.
No, not at all.
If you do and he's got
Poor
some
Tim.
kind of money.
It's so sad. Like his first reaction is like, I'm terrible.
I understand it though.
No, I do
That's
too. I'm not saying that I didn't have a little pang of that because I keep checking my email for him to respond and he doesn't. I'm like, ugh. But I don't then take it so personal.
Well, tell Tim, go text him and say he hasn't responded to me either.
And I'm really awesome, so you know that he's just not responding.
Yeah, make him feel better. Okay.
All right. Bless his heart. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to our show. That's it. Love you. Bye.